Hi everybody, this is Noelle from Petitti Garden Centers, and I'm at Casa Verde. We're gonna go out there and shoot some more perennials and things. But right now, I wanted to show you that it is the perfect time to actually reseed your lettuce bowl. If you have tried one of the lettuce bowls from us in the past, this container might look really familiar to you. This was actually one of my lettuce bowls that I actually pulled some of the plants out. Taylor will show you some of that footage. And when you get to midsummer, lettuces and cooled crops, they tend to, bolt. They tend to become very woody. The foliage tends to become very bitter. And so as those plants mature, it's just better at this time of year, we're at mid-August, to reseed those planters or even in the garden. And so sometimes we call this fall crop or cool crop planting for the fall, but you can also call it succession gardening. That's another term where in the garden, cold crops like that, they can kind of be planted a week or 2 weeks after each other to kind of keep on having them grow on. So if you start mid-August with greens like this, we have our zesty salad mix. You can actually start mid-August, and then once every 1 to 2 weeks, you can continue to reseed different containers. It doesn't necessarily have to be this same salad bowl because this one's going to start producing, but you can put them out in the garden beds. You can go ahead and use different containers to do that. So we're using the salad or the leafy greens right now. The reason being is that your cold crops that are really fast growers, they take maybe 30 to 60 days of maturity. This is the perfect time window because it's so warm right now. The seeds are going to germinate really quickly and your leaf lettuces are going to really fill out very nicely so you can start harvesting really soon. Other plants or other cold crops that you can try that have that kind of short time window, but they can still tolerate, you know, like a light frost or even a little bit cooler temperatures. Things like your root crops, smaller root crops. So your radishes for sure, beets, turnips, those will work out fine. Carrots as well. So you can plant those now, again, kind of your late summertime into about mid to late September. You can still get them planted and they'll produce for you. Another crop you can try are peas. So peas usually have that short, time window, days to maturity. So again, you can plant peas. You can also seed your herbs. So your colder, more tolerant herbs. Things like cilantro. We all know cilantro bolts very, very quickly early in the growing season. Well, they like this cooler time period to develop and fill out. So your cilantro, your parsley, no problem whatsoever. You can also reseed them at this time of year. So what I did with my salad bowl is I pulled out the old plants, cut everything down, kind of dug them out, pulled them out, and cleared out this soil. I also used my cultivating fork, and I just kind of loosened up the soil, made sure that it was still very, very usable, diggable, no problem whatsoever. We always want a nice soil base. I am gonna add a little bit more of the espoma, and this is a seed starting mix. What we like about the espoma products is that they do have healthy bacteria and mycorrhizae in them to kind of help. So I'm just gonna add a little bit because I don't need to go very high in this container. My soil stayed quite a bit. And I'm just gonna work that in ever so slightly, sort of cultivate it in, and then sort of tamp down the top again so we have a nice healthy seed starting base. Now, some people will say add fertilizer to your soil. I have never started seeds in fertilized soil. I've only added fertilizer after the seeds germinate. So really the key here is to have healthy soil. If you're doing this in the ground or even in containers, you could add something like a compost, like a mushroom compost, to that soil. And boy, that would give it a natural nutrient boost, if you will. But right now I'm just gonna keep it real light with the seed starting soil here. Then what I'm gonna do is just make sure this is all tamped down I still have a good seed bed, and I'm just gonna run 2 rows with my finger through the container. And that's where I'm gonna start the seeds. So after making the 2 rows, my holes were a little bit deep. They were more just markers, if you will. So I tried to fill in the soil a little bit. Lettuce seeds only need about 1/8 of an inch, so real tiny space. I went in and just kind of touched the lettuce seeds because they were so small. Whatever was on my fingertip, I just sprinkled a few in each hole, if you will, or indentation, and then went ahead and covered everything up just lightly with the soil. Then watered thoroughly, and I'm gonna tell you, when peat, like this type of seed mix, the soilless seed mix, when it's really dry, it's gonna bubble because that peat needs to rehydrate in order to stay in place. So I did water thoroughly once. I'm gonna probably have to do it a couple more times to make sure that this peat has basically got its water retaining capacity back into it. Meanwhile, full sun, so we're talking 6 or more hours of sunlight per day. I actually will grow my lettuce seeds on the eastern side of the house, so that's great. Morning sun, evening shade, it's nice and cool for them. So the soil stays nice and warm, but they still get that cool shading in the afternoon. So that works out really well. Other than that, you're ready to go. Keep them watered. You should have germination in about a week or 2, and then start as they fill out. Again, continue to cut and use so more will come. Enjoy.